Hello, Internet, and welcome to a violent episode of the Creative Differences podcast. I'm Dallas, and the Mortal Kombat movie really made me want a Tekken film or TV series.
I'm Colin, and I'm concerned that this is going to be a violent episode. Dallas, what does that mean? Are we gonna throw hands?
Probably, yeah.
We're running
Oh.
fades.
Fades.
All right, guys, and I'm Demi, and I've been working 11 to 15-hour days this week, so I'm a little tired. Welcome to another episode of the Creative Differences podcast, your one-stop shop for movie reviews, Throwback Thursdays, and Fancast Fridays. Today, we have a special guest with us. Gabby could not be here with us, but we have a special guest. You guys probably heard our Arclight episode that just came out a few days ago. Today, we have with us our former co-worker, Sean. Say hello to the people, Sean.
Hey guys, hello everybody. I guess I have been watching this channel since you guys told me, ever since its existence.
Thank you.
I've loved every episode since then, and I also run a podcast as well on YouTube, One Take Podcast channel, if you want to check it out as well. And I'm ready to talk some Mortal Kombat, guys. Like, I'm so ready. And by the way, that Tekken film. There is a Tekken film, by the way.
Oh yeah, I know.
2008.
I remember. I want a new one.
It wasn't that good.
Before we get into this lovely, lovely violence, please like, subscribe, and share and all that fun stuff, because I've said before that paying rent would be easier with a monetized podcast, and now that I found a new apartment, I'm going to need some more rent money.
That's fair.
Yeah.
OnlyFans, Dallas. We've talked about this.
I'll consider it.
Hey, some Teen Wolf stars on the OnlyFans now, so I mean, why not?
Yeah, if they can do it, I can do it.
All right, Dallas, what are we talking about today?
Yeah, let's start with Mortal Kombat, which is directed by Simon McQuoid, who, to my knowledge, this is his featured directorial debut. So shout out, Simon. It was written by Greg Russo and Dave Callahan. Dave has been very busy. He wrote Zombieland Double Tap, Wonder Woman 1984, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and is writing Spider-Verse 2. So shout out to Dave. He's been getting busy.
I did not know he wrote Shang-Chi.
Yeah, I didn't know that until today when I was looking up all this stuff. He's been doing a lot of stuff lately. Shout out to Dave. This movie stars a bunch of people: Louis Tan, Jessica McNamee, Josh Lawson, Mikhail Brooks, Ludi Lin, Chin Han, Joe Taslim, Hiroyuki Sanada.
Max
I'm
Wong.
going to stop there because that's like 8 people. Okay, I guess we're not going to stop there because like 9 people. Summary: IMDb says MMA fighter Cole Young seeks out Earth's greatest champions in order to stand against the enemies of Outworld. What? In a high-stakes battle for the universe.
That
Enemies of
sounds
Outworld
like-
sounds like he's fighting for
Wait.
Outworld.
Also, that sounds like that's not what he does in this movie, but okay.
No, he is the enemy of Outworld. Whatever.
Right. Also, he's not seeking people out. They kind of seek
No.
him, whatever.
Well, no,
IMDb,
he
yeah.
does seek them out because
Right,
he's
but
told
that's
to
like
go
the-
seek them out.
eventually.
I mean, I guess, but I feel like that's more the plot of a
Yeah.
sequel than. But okay. All right,
Well, you know.
IMDb,
Well, then the sequel will just have the same synopsis. It's fine.
head of the game.
But it literally, look, whatever. IMDb it does that sometimes. It's always fun to see what they're gonna say. But yeah, Mortal Kombat. What do you guys think?
Oh man, who's gonna start?
I feel like you should start because you have a scorpion mask on.
Oh, I don't know if they're gonna see this on the review, but I'm
No.
wearing a scorpion mask right now. That's 3D printed. If that doesn't tell you enough, I am a huge Mortal Kombat fan ever since the original games. Actually, my first starting game was the 2009 reboot on PS3.
Nice.
And I eventually started to get used to the original games because they started releasing them on like compilation packs on PS3 and stuff like that. It's my favorite fighting game franchise. I just love all the characters. I love all the backstories they have. I love the fatalities, of course. You can't deny the fatalities are always fun to watch, even if they're really gory.
Yes, they are.
So going into this movie, like I was very, very anticipating it because like Mortal Kombat's my favorite fighting franchise. Like
Right.
I had to watch it. Like I watched the other two movies. The first '90s one, directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. I think it's cool and all, but like I think it's a little dated in most aspects. And
Yes.
like, yeah. And like don't get me wrong, like I think in some aspects, I think in that movie there are some aspects that are better than in this film even.
Hmm.
But I will say like the second one, Annihilation, is like the worst movie I've ever seen in my fucking
Oh my
life.
God.
It's funny. A lot of people really hate that one. I haven't seen Annihilation. I actually didn't see the 95 one until recently because we did an episode for it. So check
Yeah,
that
I
out
saw
if you're
that one
listening.
too.
Thank you.
Um,
But yeah, I've heard Annihilation is just really bad.
okay, like Annihilation is like so bad, but like you can really laugh at it. Like you can laugh really hard at it.
Right.
Like it's so bad. So going into this, I was really looking forward to it because it's R-rated. It has like a good cast attached to it. Like I love the casting of, especially Hiroki Sanada as Scorpion.
Yeah, he was great.
He was definitely one of my favorite characters in this film, even if he didn't have a lot of screen time in this film per se. His presence was still felt whenever he was there, and I
Definitely.
loved Joe Teslim's Sub-Zero every time he was on screen
Oh,
too.
he was great.
He was just a menacing bastard throughout. He reminded me of like the T-1000 in a way from Terminator 2. He would be mostly silent and like he would just give no fucks what he does to people.
That's
Like
true.
it was shown in the trailer when he freezes off Jax's arms. I was like, oh shit.
That was I was when I saw that in the trailer, I was like, oh yeah, I'm ready for this movie. This is what I want it to be.
I was just shocked it was like the
Yes,
first
exactly.
30 seconds of the trailer. I was like, oh, we're going in.
Yeah, they started with it.
We're definitely going in, and when that trailer premiered, I was so looking forward to it at that point now. Because like at that point we didn't know much about it other than a few screenshots and like the writers and the directors attached to it, and they were just newbies really. Like
Yeah.
so it was, I guess, not concerning, but like more or less like curious, like to see what they're gonna do per se.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of concerning, Colin saw the trailer and was like, nah, this ain't for me.
And then watched it.
Well, okay.
Colin watched it?
Yes,
I
he
did.
watched it.
I thought he wasn't gonna watch it.
That's what I
The
said.
thing is,
He watched
I
it.
have realized it is easier to watch certain things with certain people
Okay,
that I would not otherwise want to watch by myself. And Mortal Kombat was one of those things.
got it.
So it's like if I'm watching this movie with two people who are like super into the stuff into it, like in it that I'm not, like all the violence, then great, it works out.
So
But
what did
yeah,
you
What do you
think
think
of
of
the
the movie,
movie?
Colin?
it's not fair to say that I was disappointed because I didn't have any expectations going into the movie, but once I
Right.
was in the movie and the movie promised something that it didn't deliver, then I can say I was disappointed.
Okay, so just
But
to keep it brief, so I can circle to Demi and then myself.
uh-huh.
Your opening thoughts are you were disappointed.
That feels weird to say.
Colin,
But
it doesn't need to
yes.
be complicated.
Everything with me is
Just
complicated.
pick
You know
an
this.
adjective to describe the movie.
I need to pick a different adjective than the one I had in mind.
Goodness gracious, Colin.
Oh, come on, you know me.
Would you say underwhelmed?
That would require
No.
Colin to
But
be
you wouldn't
whelmed at
say
all.
underwhelmed though if you weren't expecting anything.
See, that's my
Yeah,
point.
that
This
is
is why
Would
it's
you
true,
say
complicated,
bad,
Dallas.
Colin? Would you say bad?
You know that I don't use those terms.
Would you say you didn't like it? Did you like the movie, Colin?
I don't know.
Oh,
Okay,
that's fine.
We'll come
That's a
back
good
to
enough
you.
answer.
To me,
Yeah.
what did you think
yeah,
of the movie?
yeah. We're good here.
I thought that it was a lot of fun. It definitely wasn't as serious as I was anticipating it was going to be.
Right.
I thought the action sequences, which is what they promised us, were dope. The visual effects were amazing, in my opinion, for the most part. Specifically, like environmental things, like whenever they would do ice or fire or like any sort of energy signature whatsoever. I thought that was really cool. I thought the
Right.
writing was like average, but like to be fair, I came for the action and the visuals and I got what I wanted. So I guess that's
Right.
fine.
Yeah.
You know, I would like it there to be a sequel though, so that we can dive better into these characters because I really did like the cast and I really thought the characters were interesting. We just didn't dive deep enough into them because there's so many of them for our
Right.
first movie. I would hope
Oh,
that
yeah.
we get a sequel so that we can get to know them better and also maybe get a better story or some better writing. Just a little bit. I don't need it to be amazing, just, you know, above average. I just felt like when they weren't fighting and when they weren't doing like really cool stuff, I wasn't as interested. And I just would like to keep my interest up throughout the entirety.
That makes sense.
Yeah. What did you think, Dallas?
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. So I came for the fights. The visuals were amazing, especially every time Sub-Zero was on screen. But we'll get back to that. Yeah, the writing was nothing to write home about, no pun intended. But it was also, well, I knew Kano was going to be in the movie. he was in it more than I expected, to be honest. But I'm like, I can't take it too seriously when Kano's on screen because Kano's usually pretty silly.
Yeah.
And he brought the kind of vulgar comic relief that I expected from him.
Yes.
So I didn't really get a lot of surprises. But like you said, there's so much with Mortal Kombat. They have like 28, 29 years of games, 2 separate timelines, a bunch of different characters. And I figured we wouldn't get everything in this one, but I do hope they get a sequel so we can dive into a lot
Yeah.
of different characters.
And I will say this, their Sonya versus Kano storyline is so much better in this movie than the 95 movie.
It's a lot more in depth. Yeah, they have like an actual storyline beyond I want to kill him because that's pretty much what they gave us in 95.
Yeah, I really liked what they did with Sonya in this movie.
Yeah, like from the 95 movie, if I remember correctly, Kano and Sonya's time in the movie, Kano wasn't really in it a whole lot. Like he was probably in it for like 10 minutes and then has neck snapped by
Yeah,
Sonya.
she killed him and then
so
it's like,
like
all right, well,
so
that's it.
like okay, like I get like a lot of people hold the 90s film to like a nostalgic point of view, and I get that. Like I sometimes do too. Like I love that movie too. But I do always acknowledge that it is dated in a lot of aspects, and some aspects don't work all the time with
Yeah.
that film.
Right.
And like, so like I said with this film, like I just wanted a lot of fun. I wanted the fights. I wanted the fatalities. I wanted everything that defied a Mortal Kombat game to me.
We got a
Right.
number of fatalities.
Yeah, there's so many fatalities in the games also, like they have so many choices to do with characters, fatalities, settings, whatever. Like you could do whatever with the Mortal Kombat movie. So like I guess I wasn't like as disappointed with a new interpretation with a new character and stuff like that. So it's like sure, the writing is nothing to write home about, like you said. Like it's not like Oscar winning Academy Award best
Yeah.
original screenplay or anything like that. But like for the most part it was serviceable for what it did, and there were definitely a lot of standout performances in my opinion, especially Kano with Josh Lawson.
Hmm.
He
Hmm.
really I thought like other than Taslim and Sonata, Lawson brought it 110% to Kano in my opinion because he just stood out. And I don't even like Kano as a character. One
Yeah.
of my he's not even my favorite character at all in the games. But
Yeah,
I
I kind
just
of hate
really
Kano.
but yeah, I hate his guts so much, but he stood out so much in this movie.
I
That's
think it
why I loved
helps
him though.
that
I
it
love
helps that they gave him like the really fun, quirky kind of like raunchy
Yeah,
comedic lines because
and he
nobody
played it
else
well.
really and nobody else
uh,
really gets to do all that. They don't really get to push those limits because Ludi and Max are playing, like Shaolin monks or something, so they're a little bit more serious. And then you've got Cole, who
mhm,
is the protagonist, and he's got his own things to deal with. Sonya and Jax are also very serious as well, being former military and going through their own
Hmm.
thing. So like Josh really
mhm.
gets to play this character who gets to be out there, and nobody else
Yeah,
got that opportunity, which is kind of why he gets to stand out a lot more.
that's one thing I want to get into is talking about Cole because, like, when you have a character who, to my knowledge, was created for this movie, right?
He
Cole
was,
Young.
He
yes.
was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
So
Played by Louis Tan.
yes,
Yes,
Lewis
Lewis.
Tan's great. I kind of wanted his character to be more of like Kano. Kind of seems like how a normal person would react to kind of the crazy stuff going on.
Yeah.
Not normal in that he's still a psychopath and he's obnoxious, but in terms of a person who's not from this world reacting in a certain way. And I was kind of hoping we get that with Cole because
He's our
most of the
analog.
time yeah, most of the time our protagonist is going to be Liu Kang, but he comes from that world, so he's not really going to give us how we would react to that. And Cole didn't give me a whole lot of that either. Like when Sonya first tells him, he obviously reacts in a way that you sound crazy, I don't believe you. But I feel like we got most of our viewer analog from Kano, which sucks because I hate Kano. But it's just like Cole didn't give me a whole lot personality wise. It was just like he's a good
Yeah.
guy, he has a family, he's kind of out of his depth because of course he is, these are super beings, and I just wanted more out of our protagonist.
Yeah.
So yeah,
As
there's that
somebody
for
who
Cole.
loves Lewis Tan, I also would have loved to have more come out of him
Hmm.
because his character is kind of a bland
Yeah,
protagonist, but man, I love watching him fight.
Yeah.
yeah, it's a thing because like his writing like in the film was like kind of bland to me, like in terms of being a protagonist to Mortal Kombat, especially when you have like all these outlandish characters like
Hmm.
with all these powers and stuff like that, and like all these personalities like Kano and Jax, and like you kind of have to stand out a bit more, and I didn't feel like Cole didn't do that a whole lot.
Right.
Like he had moments, don't get me wrong, but like nothing to the point where I was like cheering him on my seat like Scorpion and Sub-Zero's fight. Like,
Yeah.
"Oh!"
Yeah. The other characters gave me a lot more cheering moments. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, those fights. But before we get into that, Colin, have you gathered
Me.
your thoughts?
Yes.
Probably not.
We need to
Do
know
you know
this.
how to articulate?
We need to know your
something?
thoughts, Colin.
Okay, see, the thing is, there are certain things that I can say in certain spaces that I can't say in other spaces. Demi and I have had this conversation.
It's true.
So, yeah. There are
I belong
aspects
to
of
both
this
spaces.
movie- Yeah.
I have a question,
I think you
Colin.
belong more to one than the other, and you just won't admit it, but we'll get there.
Colin, I have
We'll
a
get
question.
there, bitch. What?
Is this space like with me and Sean here, or is this space like something that's gonna go out on the internet? Like the space that you can't say certain things?
Both. Anyway.
I was gonna say you can just say what you want to say, and then Demi can cut out anything that
No,
you
no,
don't
no.
want to get out there.
There are aspects of this movie that I very much enjoyed, but like the point of this movie is to give you some form of experience of the games, and so in that regard, that's the stuff I don't enjoy. Like all the blood and all the fatalities, and that it was just like, this is completely unnecessary. I get why it's here because it has to be, but it was just like, this is not what I am enjoying. So, ew, can we not cut people in half, please?
Colin's not big on the action movie stuff, and we know this.
But Colin, you do like these games, right? Or do you just play them like when they're around?
I just play them when I have never owned one. I will
Right.
probably never. I don't own any fighting games. I don't like fighting games. If we're sitting together on a couch and you want to play a fighting game with me, I'm gonna play with you because I want to play with you.
Got it. Okay, so you were never really big into the games.
Mm-mm.
Okay, that seems like they really seem like they wouldn't be your thing, which is why I'm surprised you even saw this movie. But
I mean,
okay,
I figured
so,
if I was gonna be in a podcast about it and I had people who were willing to watch it with me, it was like, why not?
Fair. What did you like about the movie?
I don't think he can discuss that on the podcast.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious, Colin.
Listen, you know who I am and you know what I like.
I will say that this movie is definitely, if you are down to just thirst after people, it is really good for that purpose too.
Oh, you want to thirst some people?
Okay, go ahead, Sean. What are you gonna say?
No. I was just about to say, like I have a couple of family friends that texted me, like, or like at least told from like other siblings of mine, and like, man, everybody was like thirsting over Louis 10, Louis
'Cause
Lin,
you
and
should.
like
You
everybody,
should.
like, Joe Taslim, everybody was thirsting on Twitter. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Ludi, Max, all y'all, Makad.
And I do just want to say,
Jessica.
yeah, like as a straight man, they also provided in the form of Sonya Blade because Jessica, so beautiful.
What about Melina?
And it's funny because
What that mouth do?
Okay. Melina, like, I wish she had more time. Is what I wish.
If they make a sequel, there will be more time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But going back to thirst and as it relates to Melina, one of the things I was disappointed about because, you know, coming up over the years, seeing the Mortal Kombat games, they are plentiful with characters to thirst after, especially the women because they dress them like crazy people when it comes to costume design. But I was very disappointed that we didn't get Katana in this movie because
we didn't get
if
Katana
there was one
or Jade
person, if there's one person that I have thirsted over in Mortal Kombat more than anyone else, it's Katana. And Melina, she's a clone of Katana, so it doesn't really make sense narratively that we get her first. I know Katana exists in the universe because I saw her fans. There was a lot of Easter eggs in this movie. Shout out to that.
There was.
They did a really good job with that. But it's just like, I guess, are we going to get the same actress to play Katana later, but without the messed up mouth? If you don't, it's going to be kind of weird because she's supposed to be like a clone. But I don't know.
They could. They should.
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because like in the games even like Katana and Melina look kind of different even nowadays. So it's like
because Melina's like half Katana and half whatever.
Katanen is
Tarkatan or something like that.
Tarkatan.
Right, that's why she has all the teeth. Yeah, it was a thirst fest, and that's always fun. It's kind of sucky that Gabby can't be here because Gabby is our thirst ambassador.
Resident thirster.
Yes.
Did she watch the movie?
I think she did. She said it was delightful.
She did.
She said it was delightful. For anybody looking for Gabby's opinion, that's what she told us, that she thought it was delightful. So final thoughts, basically, If you're here for the action and the visuals, you're going to get exactly what you want. If you're here for a story, I don't know why you saw this movie. And if you want
There
to
is
thirst,
a story.
there is a story.
There's a story.
If you're looking for a fantastic one, I don't know why you came to this movie.
You're not going to get that here. I'll let you know that right now.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you want a thirst fest, well, this movie exists too for that.
Yes. Big shout out to all of the references to the games, the fatalities. They really went silly with it in certain places like they did in 95, which I appreciate. Kung Lao sang flawless victory after he does his little hat fatality.
Oh my goodness, the fights.
Every moment with Sub-Zero was so amazing. The ice effects coming out of his hand, the moment from the trailer where he cuts Scorpion, freezes his blood, and stabs him with it is always going to be one of my favorite things.
You just got to see that.
Yeah, before we move on to our next thing, actually, I do want to say that I thought that the first 7 minutes, that opening sequence was absolutely amazing. That was really intriguing.
That was really good.
Kelly, in my opinion.
I was about to say, the intro to Scorpion and Sub-Zero was chilling to me.
It's very good.
Because I played the games and then I also saw the animated movie Scorpion's Revenge that came out a year ago, and it was pretty much almost shot for shot of that animated movie too. So I was really happy to see the brutality of the scene and also the emotion you could feel through Scorpion when he yells even Bihan's name.
Yeah.
It's not really a spoiler since they released the clip online on YouTube, but Scorpion's family in the games and in the lore is killed by Sub-Zero and his clan, and pretty much Scorpion also gets killed, but he gets sent to hell. That's how he becomes Scorpion. I just loved how accurate it was to the lore of mainly those characters, because those two in particular have been my fan favorites, even though Scorpion's my guy. Sorry, Dallas. Dallas.
I feel it. I do love Sub-Zero, but it's all good.
So, final thoughts. Without a doubt, this is my favorite video game movie. Without a doubt.
Nice.
Yeah, even comparing to other video game movies like Sonic the Hedgehog and Detective Pikachu that came out recently, those are good, but I'm just a bigger fan of Mortal Kombat. I'm not as big a fan of Pokemon or Sonic as much, so that's why I was so excited for Mortal Kombat when it was coming out. And then don't forget, it was also produced, and the story I think was also by James Wan. So I knew we were gonna get something really special with this one. So, and I can always trust that name. So,
sure.
Overall, I enjoyed it. It does have flaws. I'm gonna let you know that it's not a perfect movie. Don't expect a perfect movie here. But if you go in expecting an entertaining ride all the way through, and if you don't, just turn your brain off and watch a bunch of fatalities and gore and a bunch of characters having fun, I think you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah. I guess for my final thoughts, I will add in, because to me bringing up that opening scene, it's if the whole movie was written like that, I don't think we'd be saying what we're saying about the writing.
Yeah.
One thing I love about it is, a pet peeve I have in Hollywood is sometimes you'll have characters from countries like Japan or China just speaking English for the sake of the audience, even though they're in their native place. And what I think is really dope is that Scorpion is Japanese, Sub-Zero is Chinese, canonically, and they're both speaking their native languages. But Sub-Zero does know Japanese, so he can speak to Scorpion in his language. But when he speaks Chinese, instead of just having them inexplicably speak English or understand each other, Scorpion says, I don't know what your words mean, but I'm going to kill you. Because it's he's Japanese. There's no reason for him to understand Sub-Zero, and there's no reason for them to be speaking English. And I thought that was a nice bit of authenticity in this ridiculous video game movie.
I know.
Yeah, it was great. Fun time. The next thing, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is created by Malcolm Spellman, a writer and producer for Empire, directed by Kari Skoglund, who directed episodes of The Punisher, The Handmaid's Tale, The Walking Dead, Boardwalk Empire. She's been very busy. It stars Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan, Wyatt Russell, Aaron Kellyman, Daniel Bruhl, Emily Van Camp, and a bunch of other MCU people. And the IMDb summary this time says, following the events of Avengers Endgame, Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes team up in a global adventure that tests their abilities and their patience. That sounds about right. Okay, Colin.
Me.
You didn't really give us anything from Mortal Kombat, so I assume you have something for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I have things, but I don't want to say them because if I start, it will be difficult to stop.
If you say them, what?
If I start, it will be difficult to stop.
Colin. Okay. Say an adjective to describe this TV show.
We can always come back and let you think about that.
We did that last time.
Well, he's taking a minute.
Give us something.
Let's say upsetting.
All right. That's a way to start. Sean, opening thoughts?
So, I am actually a huge fan of the Captain America films, all three of them. The trilogy is actually my favorite MCU trilogy. So I was really looking forward to the show before when it was announced. But it was funny because I was actually when WandaVision came out, I didn't know what to expect now because like WandaVision got me like in that theorizing mood. It was
Right.
like, oh man, what's Falcon or Soldier going to be like then if it's not as like I guess theorizing, I guess.
Mhm.
Like it's just more action packed and espionage in a way, which in this style it works for this show because you know it's Bucky and Sam. Like you have to go with the Winter Soldier type approach,
Right.
the Russo brothers like direction, I guess you could say, because it does honestly look like a Russo brothers film still,
Yeah.
which I was actually really happy with because the budget still they provide with these shows are high. With that's just Disney money. So I mean,
Shout out to Disney money.
I want Disney money.
Same.
I also want Disney money. I really enjoyed the show. I thought it was a good inclusion to the MCU, and I might have even liked it more than WandaVision. But
Interesting.
that's just my current thoughts right now.
Right.
Current thoughts.
Dallas, what are
To
you thinking?
me.
Oh, I was going
Okay,
for
we'll go to
you.
me.
That's funny.
I'll go. I went last time. I enjoyed it more than I expected to. Like Sean said, coming in after WandaVision kind of gave me like a clouded expectation because WandaVision was so different. And then when I see Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the trailer, I'm like, this looks dope, but it looks like typical MCU level dope. Like I've seen a bunch of MCU movies, punch, 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 kick, 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 fly around, do some really cool looking stuff. But, you know, WandaVision was something new and different. And it was like, now we're getting back to the typical MCU fare. But I very much enjoyed it. And I do think for me, I would say it's right up there with WandaVision. I don't know if I put it above, but they did it. They did a good 6 episodes. I enjoyed it more than I expected. Zimmy, what do you think?
I also very much enjoyed it. The biggest flaw I think that the show has is that I actually think it would have been better served if it were longer, like 2 more episodes maybe, because I felt like there was so much packed into this show. Like we had about 3 antagonists introduced into this one show and not enough of them got a chance to breathe and really get to know them. I felt like it was missing a little bit of that. It felt a bit messy on the antagonist end of things, less so than the protagonist end of things. I thought that they did Sam and Bucky very, very well. I didn't agree with some of their creative decisions, mostly over Carly Morgenthau. I still really liked it, and I loved what the show had to say about race in this country and the struggle that Sam has to go through when it comes to the Captain America symbol. It introduced quite a number of characters that I'm very excited about. And I was very excited for the seeds that they planted through this show because they also planted quite a few seeds for the future of the MCU. Quite a few times, which is very rare for me during a TV show. I thought that the cast was amazing, and I really thought that they did a good job with Sam having to earn the title by the end of the show. Because I was one of those people who came out of Endgame, and I really wanted Bucky to be Captain America, because that's one of the Captain Americas I'm more well versed with. But it was just really cool to get to the end of this series and be like, yo, Sam is going to be an amazing Captain America. He is what it means to be Captain America. And it was really nice to see Bucky with an actual personality for once. Marvel finally gave Sharon something to do, which is what I've been waiting several films for.
She was interesting.
Oh yeah, she definitely brought something to this show, which I appreciated.
I have my thoughts about Sharon and where they're going with her storyline, but I can't say that on the podcast because it's spoilery.
Right. Very spoilery. We can't get into that.
We
can talk about that off mic.
We can't talk that, yeah.
So, Colin. What'd you think about Carly?
Fuck, I love her so much. Like,
she's great.
Everything. I was just like, I love her. I love the Flag Smashers. Everything they were saying, I was like, yes, absolutely. I'm with you. I get this 100%. You got to blow that place up to get what you need. You blow that place up, baby. Go ahead.
I don't know if I agree with that part.
Oh my God.
Absolutely.
Colin is a terrorist.
Listen. They were making points. Also, listen, you don't cast somebody that adorable in that role
I
and
love-
expect me not to fall for her. Like,
I
oh
love
my
Erin
God.
Kellyman ever since Solo: A Star
She's
Wars
so
Story.
great.
Erin Kellyman's great.
She's so great.
She's so good.
She's great.
I love her so much. Yeah, no, I would put Carly like in the same category as Eric Killmonger for me. I feel the same way about these two characters, and I feel like they're very similar as the way that they are set up in the narrative of their stories, which is that they make very valid points, but their methodologies are not necessarily something that we agree with or abide by, unless you're Colin, apparently. But yeah, that's what I really liked about Carly, which is why I kind of wish that there had been a little bit more focus on her. Which is, like I said, I wish that there were 2 more episodes, because the end of episode 4 feels like the midpoint of the story, but then you end episode 4 and you're like, oh wait, we have 2 episodes to wrap this up.
See, I would argue that there is in fact too much focus on her and not enough on the Flag Smashers as a whole.
Interesting.
Because I think the show wanted to do certain things to make the audience feel a certain way about the Flag Smashers, and so the way that they did that was to put Carly front and center, but Carly doesn't speak for everyone, and so that was kind of annoying to me.
Well, I thought they did enough work with the Flag Smashers that we did see to show us that they didn't all necessarily agree with what she was doing or the decisions that she
fair
was
point.
making. Because there was
Yeah,
never
they
a
did a
moment
lot
where
of-
there was never a moment where she would make a bad decision and we didn't see somebody around her looking at her like, I don't know about that one, G.
Yeah, which is interesting because like you see their reactions, and you could argue in a sense she does speak for the rest of them, because despite all of their reservations, they end up doing the things that she wants to do typically, because she's Carly. And bit of lore from the comics, she is Flag Smasher, because in the comics Flag Smasher is a guy named Carl, and she's the like adaptation of that character. So it's like the group is the Flag Smashers, but it's really Carly's Flag Smasher. Flag Smasher and the homies.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Flag Smasher, the homies. I love that. I love that subtitle.
Yeah.
The things that I love
yeah.
most about this show, I can't discuss because they are so spoilery.
That's
It's
fair.
very spoilery if we go into like the details of it all. Like
Yeah, go ahead.
I will say, talking about Carly as a villain, comparing if we were to compare like to the other MCU villains, like especially going off of Catherine Hahn, who played
Agatha.
in WandaVision, Agatha Harkness. It's like I didn't feel she had enough charisma, I guess, in comparison. Because like don't get me wrong, I love the actress so much. Eric Kellerman's great. Like I think she should do more things definitely as well. But I just think in terms of like the villains of the MCU, she didn't stand out as much as the other ones would have. Like I still think in terms of like MCU villains, Thanos and Killmonger stand out to me more so than anybody else does.
I feel you on that.
I had a thought. Speaking of antagonists, we've also got John Walker.
He was way more interesting to me than I expected him to be.
Yeah.
And I feel like, okay, I'm gonna try to be as vague as possible, because to me, you talked about episode 4. Is that the one where he does the thing with the shield?
Where he does the thing at the end. Yes.
Okay, cool. So that, first of all, that was wild. And I love the final shot of that episode. It does such a good job, like a visual language showing like,
Yeah.
hey, things are not okay. But he was so interesting because I expected him to just kind of be the pompous white boys coming in like, I'm Captain America now, and I was in the military, and you have to listen to me, blah, 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 blah. And he has elements of, hey, I'm Cap now, they chose me for a reason. But at the end of the day, I felt like, he's a guy trying to do his best, and he is not built for this level of pressure. And obviously that will get to you. But he didn't ever really feel like a bad guy.
Except in episode 4.
Until, right. Like when things start happening that can push you over the edge. And yeah, what happened in that episode would definitely push me over the edge. It was like, okay, I see how this happened. But up to that point, I was like, I don't hate this guy. I thought I was going to hate this guy. I just kind of feel bad for him. Like, man, you're in an impossible situation. No one should really be in this situation. But you're just trying your best. And your best is not good enough because you're not Steve Rogers.
Or Sam Wilson, for that matter.
And it's like what Zemo said in that same episode. There has never been another Steve Rogers ever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was about to say episode 4 was actually my favorite episode of the whole series because of that moment. I was like, oof, that moment was stood out to me the most at the end, especially with that shot. I feel like that shot at the end is now such an iconic moment in the
Yeah.
MCU. It's going to be an iconic moment now. And then both episode 3 and 4 were written by the John Wick writer trilogy, Derek Kolstad. That's why I also really love those episodes because they were both action packed and they all both had such good action and tense storylines. I guess that's why I was such a big fan of both of those episodes because
I didn't
Derek
know he
Cole.
wrote that.
Yeah,
I
he
didn't
wrote
either.
both episodes.
That's awesome.
For me, the episodes that stand out to me the most are 3, 4, and 5. I think 5 is my favorite because there's just so much character stuff that I felt needed to be sprinkled a little bit more throughout the season, particularly for Bucky and Sam, more so than anything else, and their dynamic. But I love 3 because I call 3 the John Wick episode because it kind of looks and behaves like a John Wick movie with all the action sequences that they've got, especially for Sharon Carter. And episode 4 is just like the one where shit gets real. So
Yeah,
those are like the
Yeah.
three that
especially.
those are the ones that really stick out to me in my head.
I agree with you because I think that's also due to the writing of Derek Kolstad for those episodes because like I guess it's just like the action also kind of felt like John Wick when Sharon was
Yeah, when
fighting
Sharon was
in
doing the thing, I
episode
was like,
3.
this is John Wick.
This is totally John Wick. And then I saw the writing credit and it was Derek Kolstad. I was like, oh shit, no wonder it felt like John Wick at that point. And also shout out for Nobody. He did a great job with that film too.
He did. It's very on brand for him. He knows what he likes.
That's why I also said episode 3 and 4 were my favorite episodes because of how it was written, how it was set pieced.
Yeah.
And like and we didn't even talk about Zemo. I freaking love Zemo in this show.
I've always thought that
I
Zemo is one
adored
of the
him.
best Marvel villains because
He was very good.
he's always really great and he accomplishes his goal for the most part, like always. He always wins. I think we should talk about Sam and Bucky a little bit because we haven't really talked about them and this is their show.
They're the
This is
titular
their show.
characters. I like them both. I already did, but I feel like any like side level character you have in the movies, you give them a TV show, it's the right way to go because I didn't know Sam had a freaking sister.
Nobody
And now we get to see his
Yeah,
family.
we didn't know that.
Right, that whole dynamic. We get to see Bucky in therapy because, man, if there's anyone who really needs therapy, definitely Bucky. I mean, to be honest, every MCU character needs therapy, but
Bucky and Wanda
really,
more so than anybody.
really.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wanda! I was about to say Wanda needs some serious therapy right now.
Those
Wanda
two
needs
more than
magic
anyone.
therapy. But yeah, I like that we see. I've never been to therapy, but I feel like Bucky's therapist is a little bit aggressive in that first episode.
Yeah, I've been to therapists and she was pretty aggressive.
She was super on there. I was like, yo,
I mean,
relax.
sometimes that's what you need, though. Like my
You do
therapist will
need to-
take me to task
yeah.
sometimes.
If
Like
you do-
that?
not like
I
okay,
mean-
but it's like to open up, I guess. Like just
Okay.
to open up. Like it's not like to be harmful. It's just to
Mhm.
open up. Like
That's
I
fair.
guess, and like I guess that's why I also enjoyed the show a lot because they kind of like dive a little deeper into Bucky's psychological
hmm
things, and then I really enjoyed that aspect. But I would actually say Anthony Mackie stood out to me the most in this show, just because of what, like you said to me, the race themes in this show and like how it dealt with it, and like especially when he went to the old man during the whole show, like those moments were just like very powerful to me whenever they were together.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the heart of the show. I've seen people complaining about like how like dead on and on the nose the show is about race, but like sometimes that's necessary. And I don't think the MCU has really touched on race this much at all, except for Black Panther. And
Right.
it hits on it in a very different way.
hmm
And guess what? Shit like this happens in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Real life is not subtle when it comes to race, so you don't need to be subtle when you
Yeah.
discuss it.
Which is why I love that Sam's storyline is very, very obvious about it. And I love you mentioned the old man. A lot of that is through that storyline, which is one of the storylines that made me cry. You know, just kind of touching on Black history through the use of fiction. The fact that Black men have been experimented on, Black people in general have been experimented on in medical ways. I loved Sam's speech at the end of the show. That one hit me hard because I was like, yeah, this is exactly how we feel on a day-to-day basis.
hmm
And I just thought they did a really good job with that. One of my the first couple of episodes, I would text a friend of mine and I would be like, one of the things I love about this show is that I can tell that there are Black people on the writing team because they
Right.
would say certain things and I'd be like, yeah, that's the way we would discuss these things in the the Black community. Like when the kid calls him Black Falcon, and I was
I
just
love
like,
that.
how many times do Black people have the conversation of how many times do we have to get a superhero that has Black at the front of their name because they're Black? And it was just like so funny to me that was something that was happening. There were several conversations that he would have around the boat that I was just like, a white person didn't write that. A Black man had to have pitched that in the writer's room. Like, there's no way.
I just want to shout out someone. Our friend Marcellus. He's a comedian, Marcellus Samuel.
Yeah, Marcellus.
Oh yeah, shout out Marcellus if you're listening. I watched him do stand up at Comic-Con, and he talked about that, and he talked about the premise of Black Lightning getting his superhero name from the Justice League. And they're like, "Hey, you're gonna be Black Lightning." He was like, "What? Is there already a regular Lightning? Why can't I be just Lightning?" It's like, "No, you're gonna be Black Lightning." Like, what the hell? Why can't I just be Lightning? But yeah, Marcellus, you're hilarious.
Marcellus.
Shout out to you. Shout out to Black Lightning
Hilarious.
and the Falcon.
I want to give a shout out to Miki Ishikawa, who is on the show, and I used to know her back in the day, back when I was in like high school. She plays the girl
Nice.
that Bucky goes on a date with in the first episode. And a
Ooh,
shout out to
nice.
Antonio Charity, who I've known for a long time as well. He plays Lamar's dad in episode 5, I believe, which was crazy. I didn't know he was going to show up. I knew Mickey was on the show. So shout out
Right.
to them. This is like a record number of people I know in the MCU now. That's crazy. But yeah, moving forward, immediately after the season finale released, we got news that we are getting a Captain America 4, which is going to star Anthony Mackie, obviously. And it's being written by Malcolm Spellman, who is the showrunner and creator of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and alongside another writer whose name I cannot remember at this moment. But that's exciting. I'm excited that we're like, I don't know, part of me was just like, it feels obvious that we would get a Captain America 4, but also wasn't sure if Marvel would want to go through with it without Chris Evans as Captain America. But it's nice
Right.
that we are going to do that.
Yeah, I feel like given that's what the comics do all the time. It's like we're gonna run with this character, give the name to someone else. We're not gonna stop making comics. There are Captain America comics with Sam Wilson being the lead character. It makes sense if you're adapting these comics, you're going to keep it pushing, which I probably never would have thought to see that because, like you said, you know, Chris Evans, he's their guy. But then once he became 100 years old at the end of Endgame, I was like, okay, maybe not Chris Evans. I'm looking forward to it. I read a couple of the Captain America comics with Sam Wilson as the titular character. And man, I love the way they brought that suit to life in the show.
The suit's awesome.
It looks just like the comic book. And I was like, oh, this is
Marvel's
beautiful.
killing it with the suits on this new phase, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like they make you excited to see things that you wouldn't think you'd be like. I wouldn't think I'd be that excited about a purple ski mask. But
Yeah.
when Zemo grabs that thing and starts lighting people up, I'm like, yo, this is great. So I'm looking forward to it.
I forgot
like
to
the show.
mention that Bucky looked good throughout that entire show.
Oh, yeah.
Every single time that man was on screen. Especially that black jacket he was
oh.
wearing when he went to confront Zemo at one point. Oh, man. Sebastian Stan looking good all throughout the season. Thank you.
I'm really looking forward to Captain America 4. As someone who loved the rest of the 3 Captain America films. Yeah, I'm just happy Mackie gets his chance to actually headline a Captain America film now, especially since it's the same writers of Falcon and Winter Soldier. Bring it on, Mackie and the writers of Falcon.
I am curious as to whether or not Sebastian Stan will be appearing in this Captain America movie, but also I'm wondering if Joaquin is going to show up because Joaquin is the Falcon in the comic books. So I am curious.
Joaquin.
Oh,
his military
the
friend.
Military
You're
buddy.
talking about the friend, right?
Yeah.
Joaquin Torres.
I love that guy.
Danny Ramirez is the actor's name. Yeah, he was great.
Yeah,
in that little role of his.
In the comics, he becomes Falcon. So I'm wondering if they bring him in.
That's cool.
That's what the other day when you guys were like, Marvel needs to bring in a Latino superhero, I was like, they did. It's Joaquin.
Dope.
So now we have one.
Yeah. But also, in more Marvel news, we did get a Shang-Chi trailer this week.
That's true. I think Sean is excited about it.
What did you guys think?
Listen. As an Asian person myself,
Hey.
and as I'm Filipino and some Chinese in me. When I first heard about Shang-Chi, like I didn't know too much about it, like character wise. I didn't know too much about the comics. I didn't know much about the character, but I heard about the cast and all the directors and like all the crew involved. I was following it still because I follow MCU stuff, so I was still looking forward to it. I just didn't know what to expect from it, and then I saw the trailer. I was like, "Hot damn, this looks fucking awesome!"
Yeah, I agree.
Like, I was so like surprised of how it looked. Like it just looks like visually different but also gorgeous in the MCU. Like they're clearly going for a different style for Shang-Chi, which I'm like a martial arts type of film, obviously, which I'm really looking forward to because I love martial arts movies. And Tony Leung, who is a Hong Kong legend in acting. I don't know if you guys know him. He plays the Mandarin in this one.
Yeah.
He's also in the most famous John Woo movie, Hard Boiled, which is one of my favorite action movies of all time. So he's a legend, this actor. So he's a legend in Hong Kong and China. So it's gonna make big bucks, especially with also Aquafina in it too.
Oh yeah.
And also Michelle Yeoh apparently is in it, but she wasn't in the trailer.
I have my
Nice.
thoughts on that. I saw somebody say that they think that she's the death dealer, and honestly, I'm down for that. But yeah, that trailer is dope. I've seen that trailer so many times since it came out.
Me too.
Because it just looks so cool. People are obviously going to do the criticisms of Marvel's color grading, which is they tend to do the same color grade for all of their movies, which I
Mhm.
mean, it makes sense. They're all in the same universe. So like people were talking about how the bus scene at the end of the trailer looks like the third act of Ant-Man and the Wasp, which makes sense because it takes place in the same city, San Francisco.
In San Francisco. Yeah, it's
So
San
like
Francisco.
yeah, so they take place in the same spot. I like that Marvel does this thing where the worlds feel like they can exist together. But Wakanda doesn't look like the rest of the MCU.
Right.
But
Yeah.
you can only do
And
that when other places look the same.
there were some places in Falcon Winter Soldier too that didn't look like usual MCU places. Like I think in episode 3 when they went to
Oh, when they went to Madripoor?
Yeah, Madripoor.
Oh, they need to go back to Madripoor and add more Asians.
Yeah, they're totally gonna go back. I feel like there were some hints to Madripoor. I feel like
they released the trailer on Simuliu's birthday, and he didn't know that they were releasing it. It was a surprise.
It was
for him,
so
which is cool.
cute. It was
Nice.
so cute. Like he was on Twitter and he was just freaking out. Like what? He was like, "What? I see you, Marvel Studios."
The movie looks like it's going to be so cool, and it's our first MCU film martial artist because Iron Fist does exist.
Oh yeah.
But
That's true.
this looks so much cooler and so much better, and I'm so excited to see what they bring to the table. Also, Aquafina being her usual funny self, excited for that, obviously.
Yeah. It looks dope. I'm excited. Speaking of Madripoor, my wife Kayla was super excited when they brought up Madripoor in Falcon and the Winter Soldier because it's like a heavy location for X-Men comics.
That's what I
And
was
she
about to
is-
say. Like,
yeah.
It's a heavy.
She's waiting
X-Men.
for them to bring the X-Men in, as we all are.
There's actually a website online that goes into detail about Madripoor, and they like do like those black parts over stuff.
The
and
redacted.
It's clearly like redacted.
Oh,
and
nice.
it's clearly like they're talking about mutants and stuff like that.
That's awesome. But yeah, as far as this trailer goes, it looks super dope. And I wasn't excited about the movie because I didn't know anything about this character. I'm at the point now where Marvel is going to put out a movie and I'm going to watch it because it's Marvel. But I might not be excited until I see the trailer and be like, oh, that looks super dope.
Yeah.
And yeah, everything from the fights to the character design, like it's not the Mandarin who's wearing that mask, right?
No, that's the Death Dealer.
No, that's the Death Dealer.
Yeah. That character looks super dope. And that mask gives me really big Hero 6 vibes because it has like the kabuki kind of style to it.
There's actually nobody cast as Death Dealer either. We don't know who's cast as Death Dealer, so I'm wondering like who
It
is
could be Michelle Yeoh.
under that mask. But she's cast as someone else apparently.
Is she?
She actually has a name in the cast list.
I mean, MCU does that sometimes. They'll give you a name and then
that is
turns
true.
out this person is that person.
That is true. So I'm like, what if it is a surprise somebody like from the cast that we? Okay, so
I like the fantasy looking elements that are in the trailer too.
It's gorgeous.
It looks amazing. There's got like a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon type of feel in some of those scenes too.
I was literally texting Dallas saying people shouldn't complain about the MCU being looking bland anymore.
Yeah, it looks great.
It looks dope.
Colin, did you have any thoughts on Shang-Chi?
Not really. I mean,
Okay.
The elements that look like a Wuxian movie, I love that. That's my shit. Then I remembered it's a Marvel movie and I care a little bit less.
Got it.
Anyway, yeah, Emilia Clarke and Olivia Colman are set to join Marvel's Secret Invasion, which is the Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury show. If you guys remember, that was announced recently. Neither of them have disclosed roles as to who they're playing yet. A lot of people are suggesting that Emilia Clarke might be playing Abigail Brand. Might be cool.
That's a bad take. She's a great actress. I do not think she's good for Abigail Brand.
I will find out who she plays in like 2 years. Emilia Clarke is my favorite person to come out of Game of Thrones. So I'm really excited about her joining the MCU. also like Star Wars money, MCU money, Game of Thrones money. Man, just make my girl a Disney princess. Let's get that hat trick in. I'm ready.
Just getting that money.
Getting that money. I'm really excited. Whenever people who I love outside of the MCU join the MCU, I'm always 10 times more excited for whatever it is. I already was excited for Secret Invasion because it's one of my favorite comic series that I've ever read. And also that means that Samuel L. Jackson's coming back as Nick Fury. And I think they're already starting to plant seeds for that show.
Yeah, what a cast it already has. Like,
Yeah.
it has Sam Jackson, and then also Ben Mendelsohn from Captain Marvel's also coming back as the main Skrull.
I love him.
I loved him. I love him too. And then, as you said, Emilia Clarke. I never watched Game of Thrones personally, but I have seen Emilia Clarke in other things like Solo: Star Wars Story and Terminator Genesis. Unfortunately, so but I do love Emilia Clarke though. I think she has a great personality, and
Yeah.
seeing her in the MCU makes me curious. And Olivia Colman, I think, is a fantastic actress.
She's also an Oscar award-winning actress.
Oscar, Emmy award-winning actress. So I mean, hey, you're getting more Oscar winners on the MCU cast list. You got Mahershala Ali, you got freaking Sam Jackson. Well, Sam Jackson was nominated, but you got Scarlett Johansson.
That Eternals trailer is going to say Academy Award winner Chloe Zhao on it.
It is going to say that.
Marvel stepping their game up. I'm really excited. I'm so excited that they're bringing like one of my favorite comics to life with Secret Invasion.
For those who don't know, Secret Invasion, that's the one with all the scrolls, right?
Yeah, they've stolen people's identities. You know,
right.
Identity theft isn't a good thing, people.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers in a way.
So that raises a question. To me, you talked about planting seeds earlier.
Yeah.
Speaking of planting seeds, do you think we're going to get Hulkling in this show? Because they have been trying to plant all these Young Avengers seeds and everything else.
That's a really good question. It could be Secret Invasion, or also I wouldn't. The only reason I don't think it would be Captain Marvel 2 is because we already have so many newcomers coming into Captain Marvel 2, but it could happen in Captain Marvel 2 as well. There are definitely places where Teddy could show up.
I feel like Secret Invasion is probably, because, you know, with a series, you get more time to do this, do that. You can throw in a little character here and there. They are clearly moving in that direction with how many Young Avengers that they've cast or even shown on screen at this point. But yeah, that'll be fun for the people like Colin and the other like 20 people who are super into Young Avengers.
Listen, it's great that there are so few of us. It means that, you know, forming a club and making jackets isn't that expensive.
That's true. That's true.
I could just imagine Colin just wearing a Young Avengers shirt now every single time he goes to a podcast.
Listen, if they ever actually make Young Avengers merch that I don't have to find on like Redbubble, like official shit that's easier to get.
They will.
I have a feeling it's going to happen.
He sounds like me with Black Widow merchandise until this Black Widow movie comes out. So
honestly, exactly, that was me with Deadpool a long time ago. And then one day everywhere had Deadpool merch. So it was like, oh, I can find it anywhere now. But yeah, back in the day, I was looking everywhere. I couldn't find it anywhere.
I remember when the game came out for Deadpool, and that was hard to find even too for the 360. And I really wanted to play that, but they sold out of it by the time I really wanted to play it. And when the movie came out, it's like, oh, we're going to re-release the game.
Yeah. I have that game. It's great. To me.
Yeah.
Sorry, did you have anything else you wanted to say about Secret Invasion, or did you want to push forward?
I have nothing more to say. I just wanted to praise Emilia Clarke for being awesome and talk about how I love Secret Invasion.
Got it.
Praise Olivia Colman for Hot Fuzz as well.
Yeah.
Wait, time out. Who is she?
Dallas. She was the girl inspector in the team for Hot Fuzz.
Right. Okay. That's really funny. This just happened recently. There was someone in Hot Fuzz who was in something else. We were talking about the Reverend. I can't remember. He was in something else. But yeah, shout out to Hot Fuzz. That movie's great.
That movie's awesome.
So, Colin, Dallas, the next piece of news is all on y'all.
It is. Colin.
That's concerning. What?
You are my robot guy. Let's talk about Love, Death, and Robots.
Oh,
we got a new trailer and we got an announcement for season 3, which I thought was
the best news.
A lovely little gift because I wasn't even sure when or if season 2 was coming out.
Right.
Let alone now we're getting a season 3. First off, I just want to say, David Fincher, go back to making Mindhunter because
he
stopped.
Apparently is talking about that.
I heard about that. Yeah, they were like, okay, maybe we can work something out. You stopped. You wanted to make Mank. I heard it was good. I didn't see it. And then you made it. You finished it. It came out. And now you're over here doing 2 seasons at a time of Love, Death, and Robots. Like, hey, go back to Mindhunter. But sorry, that's neither here nor there. I'm just upset because I want Mindhunter back. This is a nice replacement gift. This show is dope. Sean, do you watch Love, Death, and Robots? Have you seen it?
I have seen Love, Death, and Robots. I have seen the first season of Love, Death, and Robots.
Did you like it?
I thought it was really dope for most of the animation.
I agree.
My favorite episode was Beyond the Aquilo Rift.
What the
Ooh,
fuck is wrong with you?
Colin does not like that one.
It was really crazy. Like,
It was.
but I loved it. Like, it was crazy. When I saw season 2 trailer, I was so excited because that means more cool animation from these visual effects teams
Mm-hmm.
and all these game studios, because it's also run by game engines, by the way, in case you didn't know.
Nice.
And then of course David Fincher, Mindhunter. What the fuck?
Exactly.
But it's okay. We have Love, Death, and Robots coming out and a season 3 next year. I'm really excited. And yeah, and I don't know if you guys saw in that trailer, but Michael B. Jordan was in one of the shorts.
I definitely saw that, which looks super dope because I think the last time they did it, who's the actress, Colin? Is it Samira
Wiley?
Samira Wiley, yeah. Like they have a character who looked exactly like her. And I guess now
Mhm.
we're doing that with Michael B. Jordan. It's funny when you get a trailer for Love, Death, and Robots, it's hard to talk about because it's just a bunch of chaos. We have
And you also
like
know that
12
a lot
episodes.
of the
Here's some
images
clips.
don't relate to each other. So it's
Yeah,
like,
so it's like, okay, this is an
Mhm.
anthology
it's not
show.
like this is a series
It's
where it's like, oh, that's going to come up later. Like, no,
Right.
that's a completely different universe. Those people will never interact. Like, all right.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of craziness. This trailer didn't feel as chaotic as the season 1 trailer when that was announced. Like
Oh my
everything about
goodness.
that was
I remember seeing the
terrifying.
season 1 trailer and I was like, what
Right.
the fuck is this? What the
Exactly. And now I still feel like that, but at least I know I liked the first one. Personally, my favorite episode was Blind Spot, where they're trying to rob that thing, all the robot.
Oh, that one
like,
was excellent.
That was great.
Oh, that one was pretty cool.
I'm excited. Colin, you excited?
Yeah, I'm I'm curious to see if they'll do the thing they did in season 1 where like people get different orders of the episodes, because the theory that never had any proof was that like it was based on sexual orientation, and I was like, where did that come from?
Yeah, I remember hearing about that more than like the first time I heard it was on this podcast. You brought it up, and I was like, that
Yeah.
sounds insane. And then I read it somewhere, and I was like, oh, there's actually people putting stock into this theory somehow.
So I'm really excited to see if we get different orders.
Sean, do you remember what the first episode was for you when you watched season 1?
I think it was 3 robots. I think I saw first.
What?
Oh wow, okay.
What did you have first, Dallas?
I think my first one was Beyond the Aquila Rift.
Oh my god, I'm
Oh,
so excited.
It was a wild way to start.
And you kept going?
But yours was Sunny's Edge, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a wild way to start too.
Not as wild
But
as
that's
a
like
kid.
the
Like
first
Sunny's
episode,
Edge
though,
is
right?
cool.
I mean,
But that's the
for
first
most
episode
people,
too, right?
Do they have an official episode order?
I think if you look
I
it up on
think there
Wikipedia, they had to
is.
pick one, and I think Sunny's Edge is. I think the one for the gays is the one that's mostly recognized.
Hell
That
yeah.
one was crazy too.
Stay winning.
But yeah, Sunny's Edge was wild. They're all wild, and I can't wait for more wildness to come.
Yeah.
The sad part though is that instead of 18, it's only 8. So
Whoa,
only 8?
what?
yeah, it's only 8 for the next seasons.
All right.
I mean,
they're giving us.
at-
They're announcing 2
Yeah.
seasons at a time, so
So
guess I'll take that.
I guess that's why it's back-to-back seasons. So
Yeah.
man,
That's
if
why I
only
guess-
another show that announced 2 seasons at a time would actually produce anything.
Colin, we're not here to criticize Atlanta. You let Donald work. You let
I
Donald
still haven't
work.
seen that
Case of
show
a
yet.
Snail.
We will fix that, Sean. It's amazing. But in the
I will.
meantime,
It's on my Hulu list.
oh, good. Watch that. It's fantastic. But yeah, we're excited. We like Love, Death, and Robots.
Before we head out, I just want to say that they released a trailer for West Side Story, and I'm super freaking hyped. I am so excited. Yeah, the trailer was mostly like aesthetic, more so than anything else. A lot of just the cinematography with Rita Moreno singing in the background, which is still amazing in and of itself. The cinematography looks awesome. I'm so excited to see even more of it. It was definitely the definition of a teaser. Super excited to see Rachel Zegler. Super excited to see Ariana DeBose. Also very excited to see Rita Moreno return. So hopefully it'll be good. Should be good. I have to talk about it on behalf of me and Gabby, because Gabby is also very much looking forward to this movie, but she is not here. I really just want to see Rachel Zegler become a star. She just got cast in Shazam 2 recently. So like,
Yeah, I
I'm
was really excited about that.
super hyped. I can't wait to hear her sing and act, and oh my god, it's gonna be amazing.
I'm a musical fan too, so
nice.
I could see what you mean by looking forward to West Side Story. I actually have not seen the original though. It's one of the few
You should watch
musicals
it.
I've not seen. I definitely, it's definitely on my list to watch.
Yeah.
I'm like climbing through the musical list still.
Yeah, I watched it for the first time last year.
Yeah, I've seen Singing in the Rain recently. I saw Sing Street was one of my favorites recently. I'm really looking forward to West Side Story too. It's Steven Spielberg directing, which
Yeah,
could bring some energy to it.
I can't wait until I can get the boys to do a Throwback Thursday for West Side Story because it's going to be super hilarious.
I could probably join in on that.
I'm so
I
ready
could
to
bring
talk
some musical
about
knowledge.
the whitewashing of the original West Side Story.
Oh, you want to talk about whitewashing?
That'd be interesting.
Oh,
It's going to be amazing. But anyway, that's all we have for you guys today.
Gabby gonna have some thoughts.
Yes, audience, thank you as always. Thank you for listening to all that fun stuff. Thank you to Crown Digital, Brandon, and Io for putting us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. To me, thank you for editing and putting us on YouTube, and for, filling in the absence of Gabby by talking about musicals and thirsting over actors, because that's what we get from Gabby, and I'm glad that we can get that from you. Colin, thank you for hanging out, even though you didn't give us a whole lot when it comes to Mortal Kombat or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but you were here for the robots, and I respect that. Sean, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for repping for the Mortal Kombat fans. We appreciate you. And audience, let us know what you think of Mortal Kombat, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Is Mortal Kombat your favorite video game movie?
I have a question. Was Mortal
What's up?
Kombat a fatality or a flawless victory?
Ooh,
Well, those
I
are
like that.
a fatality could be part of a flawless victory, but then there's also brutality. So you're really not scratching. You're like
We
you're
don't
not
need to
getting
get into everything, Colin.
Well, she brought it up, and those are like a fatality can be part of a flawless victory. Those aren't separate things.
Well, what I can say to all of us is to get over here and subscribe to both of our podcasts.
I love it. I love that. You can tell us what kind of freaking fatality or brutality or animality you think this is on the medias. You can find us on Twitter at y'all_different, Instagram and Tumblr, Creative Differences Podcast, or Facebook.com/Creative Differences PC. If you want to help me fan cast my Tekken movie, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at a king named Simba.
You can find me on Twitter at Duck McGuck.
You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Dreamy Films. Dreamy is spelled DREEMI.
I am also on Twitter under at Sean Lirag, which is my actual name, and my YouTube is One Take Podcast channel, which is my own channel. I do my own video content of also movies and games and TV, pretty much all media you could think about. It's been a ball to talk about Mortal Kombat and Marvel with you guys so much, so thank you for having me.
No problem, man. Thank you for coming. And also, you can find Gabby on Twitter at SoulSucker.
Yes.
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 How appropriate.
All right. It's been different. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.